Tardes a María Michel Ramos. Ya llegamos en el tiempo del servicio a compartir unas palabras sobre la vida de María, que muchos de nosotros conocemos como Mom, ¿verdad? Family and friends were gathered to, at this time, to share some words in eulogy about the life of our grandmother, María, who many of us just knew as Mom. Primero voy a compartir las palabras en inglés y voy a seguirlos en español. Okay? First I'm going to offer the eulogy in English and I follow up with the eulogy in Spanish. So if you're bilingual, you'll get it 2 times, okay? Si eres bilingüe, lo vas a escuchar 2 veces. So eulogy for María Ramos Michel. This evening, we gather to honor our family matriarch, María Ramos Michel. All of us knew her as Mom. My dear family, our matriarch has passed on, and friends, if the loss feels profound, that's because it is. In accepting that very fact, we honor her. Mom was born in Jalpa, Jalisco, Mexico, on April 30th, 1937. On that day, her father José Ramos and mother Rosa Mendoza welcomed María. Mom had many siblings. Mom's father had Eulalio from a previous marriage. Rosa Mendoza and José Ramos then had Dionisio, Guadalupe, Jesus, and María, or a very sweet mom. Her next 4 siblings came from José Ramos' marriage with Julia Padilla, Alfonso, José, Heriberto, and Nancy. José Ramos, the Bible might suggest, had his quiver full. That means you have many children. Even my tío Heriberto couldn't keep up with him. Mom spent the first 30 years of her life in Mexico. There, in the late 1950s, Mom married Francisco Barba. In 1959, Mom welcomed her first child into the world, Carlos Iberto. 2 years later came my dad, Francisco. Mom's husband, Francisco, suffered a severe accident at work, leaving him wheelchair-bound, eventually resulting in his untimely death. So what does a widow and mother of 3 do in Mexico? This is where the story of our intrepid Mom takes place. This was Mom's defining moment. At some point, all of us confront a life-altering decision. Mom's decision of fate, it was her sojourn, her journey northward. Mom did what millions of loving mothers had to do to provide for her sons. She left her home to an unknown place. Mom joined the millions of parents and single mothers who, from ancient times to this very day, have had to leave everything they know in order to provide for those they know and love. It is one of the oldest and most heart-wrenching stories of human history, and it's among the most powerful. She arrived in Union City in the early 1970s, and in 1972 welcomed her youngest son, Luis Rubio. A year later, her sons Roberto and Francisco were reunited with her in Union City. With the years-long journey complete and her family now reunited, she set about for her next chapter of her life. She married Agustin Michel in the early 1980s, and in 1986 moved to Stockton. It seemed like a dream finally come to fruition when they opened their store on Main Street in Mexicano. Lamentably, this turned into a nightmare when her store was robbed at gunpoint, leaving her once again a widow. This was an end of an era in Mom's life, and also the beginning of a new one. Mom would never remarry. She had to close down the store. She started a new career as la mera mera, okay, cocinera of La Victoria. We all know that store, right? The pink store in Stockton. But the 1980s brought Mom her bundles of joy, beginning with Fatima in 1982 and ending with Stephanie in 2003. Grandma's 10 grandchildren kept her busy. These 10 grandchildren then gave Mom 17 great-grandchildren. More to come? Mom's grandchildren all had a chance to see her cooking genius, either at La Victoria or at her home of almost 40 years. Nobody here, and I swear by this, nobody here has ever had better Thanksgiving turkey than Mom's specially prepared meeting. Her house was special. It is where everyone went in a time of celebration, in the time of need, and in the time to grieve. All the saints, think of her house. Okay, think of her house. All the saints in iconography, La Virgen de Guadalupe, La Virgen de San Juan de los Lagos, was a reminder of her deep and abiding Catholic faith. Mom was an example of selfless love, resilience when life dealt her the death of her sons, Luis in 2019 and Francisco a year later. Mom was our rock, a rock that would not crumble despite all the hardships that life threw at her. How did Mom respond to all this? We all saw it. She gave to others selflessly. May we all take that lesson from Mom. Even when things get tough, give to others. That's her faith, given to her from God and imparted to all of us. Mom lived a full life. The family thanks those who comforted her in her final days. Especially, we give thanks to Gilberto, Lupe, and Toño, who provided extra care for many years in these final times. So Mom had a full life. And by that, I don't mean that she just lived a long life. For some, a long life is sufficient. Mom's life had meaning because of the risks that she took and how she rebuilt even when life came crashing down on her. Mom, you are gone, passed on to your reward on December 18th, but you're not forgotten. You will always live in our hearts. Mom, may God have you in his glory, peace, and kingdom. Okay. And now, to offer the eulogy in Spanish.